I took time to heat my drum, and then I forgot where I put it. But it's warm, so it'll sound pretty good. This is a call and response, and I'm going to call, and I hope you respond. Oh, Great Spirit, the earth is sacred. Every tree, every shore, every mist in the forest brings us peace evermore. We are part of the earth, and the earth is part of us. Grants us strength to do our part as keepers of the earth. You did not weave the web. You are merely a strand. What you do to the web, you do to all life. You may think you own the land. You do not. It is creators. Save the land for our children as keepers of the earth. Oh, Great Spirit, hear our prayer. Make me aware. Oh, Great Spirit, hear our prayer. Make me aware. Oh, Great Spirit, the earth is sacred. Every tree, every shore, every mist in the forest brings us peace evermore. We are part of the earth, and the earth is part of us. Grant us strength to do our share as keepers of the earth. You did not weave the web. You are merely a strand. What you do the web. You do to our life. You may think you own the land. You do not. It is creators. Share the land for our children as keepers of the earth. Hey, 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 I want you to do that with me. I want you to get that whole guttural feeling. Here we go. Hey, 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 hey,
Good morning, everyone. Just in case I get too involved in the talk, I want to announce right now that we're starting the choir for the holiday seasons. And we're starting in a very minimal way to have choir session, which will start this afternoon at 1 o'clock for 1 hour. And we'll go over a couple of songs that will be used in the Christmas production, but people who come into the choir will be singing on Sunday quite often between now and Christmas Eve. So if you're interested and if you sing at all, especially if you've had any experience, we don't need you to have experience, but if you have, please show up at 1 o'clock this afternoon right here. I spent some time with a friend yesterday who I haven't seen in a long time, and he used a phrase that I at first thought I'd never heard used before. He used a phrase about personal sovereignty. He said, I've always been an advocate of personal sovereignty. And at the time, I didn't think that I'd heard that expression, but then as I went over it after leaving him and thinking about it, I did at one point do a talk that was titled Personal Sovereignty. And that talk began with, after you're born, ideally, every child, woman or man, should be pursuing personal sovereignty. That would be ideal, but it's not really the way things are. In our society, after one is born, one takes in a lot of limited ideas and from what appear to be authority figures. So in the Western culture, we've been conditioned to believe that there are certain people who have studied enough in particular areas that they are the authorities, and that what they say should be something we take in and live by, which has become that way. We've become people that believe in the intelligence of doctors and the intelligence of someone who claims to be an engineer, or the intelligence of someone who claims to be a counselor or something. But we take in a lot of limited information from authority figures who aren't themselves necessarily enlightened. But if you're going to pursue personal sovereignty, then you're going to have to begin to trust your inner guidance, which is sometimes referred to as intuition. And let me give a definition to intuition that most people aren't aware of, but a definition of intuition could be the highest logic, or even better, the highest common sense. The highest common sense is intuition. And if you're awake in the life of the world and open to looking upon the way the world operates and the people in it, you'll often recognize how little common sense actually occurs in people's relationships, wherever they are, whatever they're doing. It takes keen insight to be able to understand what is truly appropriate in any given situation. And that comes from wanting to understand what is truly appropriate in any given situation. And for most of us in Unity, that takes the practice of meditation and affirmation and mindfulness, the practice of mindfulness, which is so missing in the relationships of human beings in our world, and they're not necessarily even close to becoming personally sovereign. Yeah, of late there's a big deal about no king, no, we don't want a king. But in the end, the only real ruler of one's life has to be that person's own inner self, the true self, the evaluating self, the divine self that is not taken in by the authority figures of the world. Yes, you can listen to people who are considered authority figures, but you don't take their word as law, as the final truth. You take it within and see if it resonates with what your inner divine consciousness, your highest common sense speaks to you. And that's what will make all the difference in the life one lives. People ask me, well, you've got 3 children that are successful, following their careers and doing very well. So what did you teach them as they were growing up? I'll tell you, one of the things we taught them was this whole thing about authority figures. The only real authority figure in the end comes down to your deepest insight into the moment. And so they, for the most part, were wary of people that claimed to be authority figures and know what was good for them. But I think that was helpful. We taught them many other things. So this morning, in deference to this whole concept of personal sovereignty, we're going to start with this particular PowerPoint. I think has real depth. You can read this in the Course in Miracles text on page 106. That's the old text book. The new text is on 115. Outside the kingdom, the law that prevails inside is adapted to what you project, you believe. This is teaching, this is its teaching form. Because outside the kingdom, learning is essential. This form implies you will learn what you are from what you have projected onto others, and therefore believe they are. And therefore believe they are. In the kingdom, there is no teaching or learning, because there is no belief. There is only certainty. Can we take this back again, please? Outside the kingdom, the law that prevails inside is adapted to what you project, you believe. This is its teaching form, because outside the kingdom, learning is essential. This form implies you will learn what you are from what you have projected onto others, and therefore believe they are. In the kingdom, there is no teaching or learning, because there is no belief. There is only certainty. You can see how this does not jibe with the thinking of the world. Because initially we grow up thinking that my state of mind, whether feeling happy and good and all right, or feeling down and depressed, has to do with what life is offering up in the form of circumstances in my experience. That seems to be true to the world. We grew up believing that according to these experiences that occur in my life, I will respond. And quite often I respond from a fearful place or a concerned place, or I carry worry with me about the conditions and circumstances. But look at what the Course in Miracles is actually saying. You will learn what you are. In other words, it could be said, you will learn the truth about yourself, or you will learn your true self by projecting on others what you believe they are, when in fact they will reveal to you who you are. Your projections create your experience, how you experience the world. What is your outlook on life is determined by what you believe about everything and everyone around you. And if you don't care for what you're experiencing in life as everyone and everything around you, then it's futile to try to force those people and conditions to conform to that which you desire, which will fulfill your personal desires and expectations. That's not the way to find happiness, healing, or peace of mind. It's not. Although many people attempt to do that, there's the illusion that if you had enough money, or you were popular enough, or more powerful personally enough, you could control people, which is what limited dictatorial thinking is all about. Controlling people through fear so that they are going to honor your personal desires, dictates, and demands because they're afraid of the consequences of you, because you're going to try to manipulate, force, and create them to fulfill your personal expectations and desires. I just gave to you the definition of the insanity that exists in the thinking of the world. But if you want life, and you want healing, and you want happiness, then you're going to have to rise to the understanding being shared in A Course in Miracles and by the masters down through the ages. The world around you is determined by your deepest held beliefs. And of course, we grew up for many years and nobody ever taught us that. It just didn't seem to be that way. So now what is required is to take to task one's own awareness and to become very clear about what is being served up in your consciousness, because it is determining the life and experience you are having in the world. So just stop for a moment and ask yourself, do I believe that? Do I live from that at all? What you just saw is only one of many references in A Course in Miracles to this quintessential truth that the Course in Miracles represents. And the founders of Unity, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, dubbed this golden idea, which is thoughts held in mind produce after their kind in manifestation. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind in manifestation. And it goes on in essays that were written by each of them, that the stronger the thought, the stronger the belief, the more persistent it will appear in the people around you and the conditions and circumstances that you encounter in life. But I suspect that the best possible way that it's been said is said in A Course in Miracles. I want to share another one with you because I think it will be very helpful for you to see it the way it's written now in this way. As you look at this, you have asked yourself the question, why would someone spend 7 years of their life writing such things as this, as coming from the divine Christ consciousness, and never receiving a penny for it? Which means that the motivation for writing this is totally holy, not worldly at all. So let's have this next PowerPoint, please. You can read this in the Course in Miracles text, page 192. That's the old text. The new one is on page 208. It is impossible not to believe what you see, but it is equally impossible to see what you do not believe. Perceptions are built up on the basis of experience, and experience leads to beliefs. It is not until beliefs are fixed that perceptions stabilize. In effect, then, what you believe, you do see. That is what I meant when I said, "Blessed are you who have not seen and still believe. For those who believe in the resurrection will see it." The resurrection is the complete triumph of Christ, or your true nature, true self, over the ego, the false illusionary concept of self, and it's done not by attack, but by transcendence. You'll come to love this true self-awareness, this very, very high common sense awareness. You will learn to love living from it. Can we have this back again, please? It is impossible to believe, it is impossible not to believe what you see, but it is equally impossible to see what you do not believe. Perceptions are built up on the basis of experience, and experience leads to beliefs. It is not until beliefs are fixed that perceptions stabilize. In effect, then, what you believe, you do see. That is what I meant when I said, "Blessed are you who have not seen and still believe. For those who believe in the resurrection will see it." The resurrection is the complete triumph of Christ, your true nature, over your illusionary definition of self, the ego, and it's done not by attack, but by transcendence, slowly but surely, as you practice the principles of truth. Ultimately, you will start to feel good for no apparent reason relating to circumstances outside you. You'll start to just feel good, and you'll know what is necessary and what is needed and what is appropriate and what makes one feel good. So that is what we are in the process of doing here in Unity. We're taking to task an awareness that has been badly conditioned by a world that lives in an illusionary definition of life that has to do with separation and fear, concern, worry, fighting, bickering, depression, anger, resentment, hate. And this is our calling to leave this world this insane world behind. I myself have witnessed many personal healings over the years in the spiritual work. Even before I became a minister, I was in the spiritual work at the Association of Research and Enlightenment, which is the foundation that was brought about through the Edgar Cayce readings. The Edgar Cayce, the most documented clairvoyant that ever lived, his readings, over 14,000 of them that were involved in healing thousands of people, are, to me, the final go-to place when you have the really tough questions on the spiritual journey. And so it was Cayce's readings and the work of the foundation that actually led to my spiritual journey in New York City. And as I said, I had, while I was even involved with that, and later on in the ministry, I've seen so many healings take place. And most of them are simply a person dropping their limited point of view, their limited definition of self, and opening up to a more expanded definition that includes everyone and excludes no one. I've watched this happen where people start to feel good. And because they feel good, they're able to bestow goodness. They're able to bestow forgiveness and peace because they feel good. They're not depressed, afraid, concerned, manipulating. So I've seen this take place with a lot of people, even back before I was a minister. But the most dramatic transformation I have ever witnessed on this journey took place back at the New York Center of the Association of Research and Enlightenment. And don't get the impression that the New York Center of the Association of Research and Enlightenment was some grand structure of any kind. It was simply a rather dilapidated 3-bedroom apartment that was fixed up with bookshelves which contained very old spiritual books and folding chairs. So, unlike the Association of Research and Enlightenment that exists in Virginia Beach, Virginia, which is a lavish complex of buildings and things that take place there. But the New York thing was started by a couple that just thought, well, maybe we just rent this apartment and see if we can help people get in touch with the Cayce readings and the truths that are being revealed in the Cayce readings. That's how I began my journey in New York City. And then we had maybe 25 or 30 people on a Saturday. We would go all day Saturday discussing dreams, doing dream interpretation, meditation, Search for God book discussion. Search for God books were developed out of the Cayce readings in a person who was interested in seeking God. And we had a real mixture of mostly young people. But one lady in that group, her name was Sheila. I actually remember her name. Sheila in that group was so in opposition to life and happiness and feeling good. She would involve herself in the dream interpretation groups and the discussion groups and the meditation groups, but boy, she just had a negative outlook on life, and she spoke it clearly and said that her life was wreckage because, and she believed this wholeheartedly, that she was an evil queen in a past life. Now, even in the ARE that believes in reincarnation, you quietly chuckle to yourself when you think someone's whole life right now is being conditioned by a past life as an evil queen in which she executed innocent people and things like that. But that was her whole thing. That was her dilemma. And she never stopped talking about how terrible her life was. She couldn't hold a job. She was almost always sick with something that prevented her from holding a job because she'd always be out of work. And she had this depression that she would just continually talk about how she couldn't get rid of it. She's taking pills and drugs. She would involve herself in therapy beside the dream discussion groups when she could afford it. And she went on like this for months. And everybody kind of tried to stay away from her when she was around. But then one evening, she went to a lecture by a guru in Madison Square Garden. And this guru had a following of thousands. And she went to Madison Square Garden to hear this guy speak. I actually think I remember his name. I think it was Krishnamurti, who was one of the great gurus. But anyway, she went and she heard this guy speak. He carried on for about 2 hours. And somehow or other, she was able to fight her way through the crowd to get to him just as he finished up and was talking to a couple of people. She got into his face and was able to spew her dilemma on him. And he waited for her to take a breath, which is one of the advantages she had. She was one of these people that did circular breathing when she spoke. So she didn't have to stop to take a breath. She could just spew. And she spewed on him, but he waited for her to take a breath, and he said to her, "Give me your karma. I'll work it out for you. You're free, because I will work out your karma." She left that meeting and completely changed her life. We watched it over a series of months. She couldn't say enough about this guru and her life. She became a more positive person, participating, serving at the ARE, finding a job she really liked in advertising, and doing things that just was not like her. She had become a completely different person, dropping the whole idea that she had been somehow taken in by this karma of being an evil queen. She dropped it. She let this guy, this guru, take her karma. Right there and then, that evening, she changed extraordinary, the most dramatic thing I have ever witnessed in mind transformation. Unfortunately, the guru died 2 days later from an overdose of karma. But that's not true. All right, the last part's not true. The first part's all true. I think it was Krishnamurti. He went on to be, for 40 years or so, to be one of the pristine spiritual teachers. Okay, I want to share with you just two things that are very important here. My beginning training at the ARE included this reality, which permeated the teachings of Edgar Cayce. Can we have this next PowerPoint, please? This Edgar Cayce is from reading 906-3. Mind is indeed the builder. It will see that what is held in the act of mental vision becomes a reality in the material experience. Mind is the builder, and that which we think upon may become crimes or miracles. For thoughts are things, and as their currents run through the environs of an entity's experience, these become barriers or stepping stones, dependent upon the manner in which these are laid as it were. For as the mental dwell upon these thoughts, so does it give strength, power to things that do not appear, and thus does indeed there become that as is often given, that faith is the evidence of things and not seen. That statement that's being quoted there is found in the book of Hebrews in chapter 11. To have faith is to have a belief in things not yet seen. And what he's talking about is the mental concepts we embrace and hold, and in some cases harbor from our youth, determine the experiences we have in our relationships and the people in our lives around us. So this a celebrated clairvoyant is laying it out just where it is. We'll take this back again real fast. Mind is indeed the builder. It will see that what is held in the act of mental vision becomes a reality in the material experience. Mind is the builder, and that which we think upon may become crimes or miracles. For thoughts are things, and as their currents run through the embryons of an entity's experience, these become barriers or stepping stones dependent upon the manner in which these are laid, as it were. For as the mental dwell upon these thoughts, so does it give strength, power to things that do not appear, and thus does indeed there become that as is often given, that faith is the evidence of things not seen. These truths belong to those who want to be personal, sovereign beings. In other words, if you want life, true life, a life truly worth living, if you want joy and you want happiness, you want love or companionship, you want true peace, inner peace, whatever it is you want is not going to come about by trying to manipulate or force conditions and circumstances outside yourself to kowtow to your personal dictates. It's going to come by taking to task your own awareness and catching yourself when you are holding negative input in your mind, believing in limited conditions and people and circumstances in your mind. And when you catch yourself doing that, you pause and you realize, I could choose peace. I could choose harmony. I could choose forgiveness. I could choose love instead of this. You can. Eventually, if you want to be and have personal sovereignty over life, you will choose this truth. We're going to take some time to meditate together. This is one of the great spiritual practices, to quiet the mind, be still. We don't try to force limited thoughts that are coming in. We don't try to force them out. We just don't give them any attention. And we quietly hold an ideal in the mind. Become very still. Allow the thoughts to fade as you bring into your focus a mantra, or you can do a breathing exercise. There's a number of different meditation techniques you can involve yourself with, and they're all very, very good at quieting the mind. But I'm going to share with you a mantra this morning that you may want to try to use as you leave. Just bring this gently to mind and see if you can continue to focus on it. Everything I look upon, everything I see is my outlook on life, my belief in me. Everything I look upon, everything I see is my outlook on life, my belief in me. Everything I look upon, everything I see is my outlook on life, my belief in me. as we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space. Let us go forth with a greater devotion to the transformation in awareness that the Masters recommend. And for this opportunity in every moment, we give thanks. To this we say, Amen. We'll take an offering for unity now. As we're preparing to do this, I want to remind you once again, join the choir. There is no better way to express and enjoy the music and the happiness of the Unity family than to be part of the choir, which is going to start meeting today at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So, yeah, you have time to grab a quick snack if you want to, and get back. That's after the second service. You have plenty of time after this service to go and find something to eat. All right, let us bring into our hands that gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder. And let's bless this gift with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
Create in me a pure heart. Create in me a pure heart. Dance, my soul, dance. Dance, my soul, dance. Create in me a pure heart. Create in me a pure heart. Dance, my soul, dance. Dance, my soul, dance.
Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of Truth, the Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of Truth. Amen. And as always, I invite you all to join our discussion group, which takes place after the first service, in the bookstore. There's a room off the main bookstore that has chairs surrounding in the circle. You can join us. And you can bring up any topic you want to about this talk or unity in general. And what is it? I already said, I already brought them in on. See, some people have a still small voice that speaks to them. I have authority figures that speak to me all the time. Okay, so join us for that discussion. Anything can be brought up and discussed.